Velina ano ai, aloha, aloha mai kako. I'm honored to begin our discussion this evening, our celebration, and I welcome you to join me in igniting our spirits, igniting your spirit and igniting our collective spirit so that we can achieve our maximum potential of He Nohona Ai Oia, a culture of sustainability, the Aloha Plus Challenge, our measures and targets that we've set for ourselves, and those efforts that we'd like to make to see ourselves as He Nohona Ai Oia. This opening mele uses the words ku and ka to ignite and to strike, and hu and ha that evoke those feelings of inhaling and filling up and exhaling that really capture the essence of our heartbeat, our life beat, our mauli, which echoes the life beat and the breath of Hawaii, of our nature, of the beating of the crashing surf, the billows of the wind in the sounds that we have. So if you're able to join me, I welcome you to please stand up so we can focus our intentions, focus our thoughts and our energies. If you're able to clap along with me, please clap along as we ignite our collective spirit to ignite our maximum potential to achieve He Nohona Ai Oia. Aloha mai kako.
Mahalo nui ulalia for that truly getting us on our feet and starting this really special event off with great energy. Aloha mai kako. I'm Audrey Newman. I am the Senior Advisor for Hawaii Green Growth, and I'm going to come back and talk to you at the very end to mahalo all the amazing people who helped to make the dashboard and the Aloha Plus Challenge and the work we're going to be celebrating today a reality. But first, I want to thank Ulalia for that beautiful ole and also acknowledge that she is a member of the steering committee of Hawaii Green Growth, one of our leaders, and also a recent addition to Hawaii's Board of Land and Natural Resources. Fabulous leadership for our natural resources. Oh, and her day job is as a regional assets manager for Kamehameha School, so a woman of extraordinary talents. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our Masters of Ceremony today. We're truly privileged to have Senator Gabbard and Representative Lee join us co-hosting this this event here in the Capitol, and also two of the strongest champions we have in the legislature for the Aloha Plus Challenge and sustainability across the state. So thank you so much, Senator Gabbard and Representative Lee.
Aloha mai kako. E komo mai to the launch of the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard. First off, some mahalos are in order. Again, mahalo nui to Ulalia for the beautiful protocol. Please, let's give her, show our appreciation. Mahalo also to the Hawaii Green Growth for organizing the event and all of the HGG partners who contributed to the work that we'll hear about this afternoon. And of course, mahalo nui to all of you for attending this important event. As chairs of the Energy and Environment Committees in the House and the Senate, many of you know that Chris and I are both passionate about sustainability and that we take our job seriously in helping to build a better future. We're happy to serve as your MCs this afternoon for this exciting occasion during an important time in our legislative session.
Thanks, Mike. It gives us great pleasure to be here. You know it's an important event. You know something is critically important to the state, and so much is on the line when there are so many leaders from around the state, from all islands, gathered in one room. I'm not just talking about the folks on the panel here. I'm talking about all the people in the audience whom we've worked with over the years, leaders and organizations, volunteers, the folks who put in the blood, sweat, and tears to bring the goals that we're talking about today to fruition. But first, I want to introduce a couple people here. Unfortunately, two could not be with us. They're out driving zipper machines right now. That is the governor, of course, David Ige, and Mayor Kirk Caldwell, and we thank them for everything they're doing right now to help out where it's needed most. But they would have loved to be here, and we'll be hearing from them later this evening. But in the meantime, I did want to recognize some of our other distinguished guests. Of course, Mayor Billy Kenoi from the Big Island, County of Hawaii. Mayor Alan Arakawa from Maui. Mayor Bernard Carvalho from Kauai. And two other distinguished guests here tonight, Dr. Kamana Al-Krab, CEO of Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And of course, Dr. David Lassner, the President of the University of Hawaii. As well, I would want to take a moment to recognize a couple of the other folks in the room who I saw walk in. Number one, that's representatives from one particular, maybe I should let you do the introduction for this one, one particular Congresswoman's office.
Who would that be? Who is it? Okay.
Maybe it's
Would the
you.
representative, you know,
I think you're already standing.
I'm still getting used to being, nobody calls me Senator Gabbard. They always call me Tulsi's dad now. So whoever the representative is from Congresswoman Gabbard's office, is she here? Would you please stand? Uh-oh.
It's
trouble.
you tonight.
That's me, okay.
And as well, we're honored to have support here from both Senator Schatz's office and Senator Hirono's office, and Representative, now Congressman, Mark Takai's offices. So we appreciate their support as well. And lastly, here in the auditorium are other legislators, of course, because there's no time for any of us to go home. We're here pretty much 24/7 at this point. But I did want to recognize Senator Laura Thielen. Where's she at? In the back. Senators Russell Ruderman, Breen Harimoto, and Representatives Carl Rhodes and Richard Cregan. And I apologize if there's anyone else out there. I'm getting old. My vision is not what it used to be. But thank you all for being here this evening. And finally, I did want to recognize members of the governor's cabinet and staff from both the state, the counties, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, University of Hawaii, and everyone who's put the time and effort in, as I said before, to help make these visions our reality. So, round of applause for all of them, please. And finally, of course, leaders from Hawaii Green Growth and more than 60 organizations who are present here or have representatives present here this evening who've taken all of that effort and all of that drive and put it into making this thing something that is real, that we are here to talk about and here to celebrate, and our children will be able to celebrate in decades to come. Thank you all for being here.
We are gathered here today to launch the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard, an online platform designed for decision makers and the public to track state and county progress on achieving the Aloha Plus Challenge 23 targets. The Aloha Plus Challenge is a joint commitment to achieve 6 interconnected sustainability targets by 2030 in the areas of clean energy, local food production, natural resource management, solid waste reduction, smart growth, and climate resilience, green jobs, and education. Last session, we joined our colleagues in the state legislature to unanimously endorse the Aloha Plus Challenge through Senate Concurrent Resolution SCR 69.
It was only 8 months ago that through all this effort, the Aloha Plus Challenge was signed by Hawaii's governor, mayors, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, during a ceremony actually right here in this auditorium, just 8 months ago. Since then, the state, counties, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, partners with Hawaii Green Growth, and many others have been working together to move the needle in that right direction. And there's a lot of things going on right now that we're going to hear about shortly. So tonight we'll get an update on their work, including the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard, which is probably the most exciting thing there is that's going to define all of this so that it's easy to understand and we're going to hear about for years to come. So first, we'll hear from our governor and mayors, and while they're out solving the world's problems on the H1, we'll be reading statements from them, but also from Office of Hawaiian Affairs and the chief executives who are committed to leading the Aloha Plus Challenge and turning these dreams into reality. And finally, it is the University of Hawaii that initiated this dashboard project and is a key partner in our statewide sustainability work. So we're going to ask UH President Lassner to join us and the other leaders tonight.
Okay, so first up, I'll read a quote from Governor Ige, since he wasn't able to attend. And I quote, "As state senator, I co-introduced the resolution to endorse the Aloha Plus Challenge during the 2014 legislative session. As governor, I am committed to state leadership on sustainability in every department. As a new initiative, we are spearheading a statewide sustainable transportation committee to form partnerships and fund projects in support of clean energy and sustainable communities. I will continue to work closely with the mayors, OHA, state legislature, UH, and other partners to make progress on the Aloha Plus Challenge in the next 4 years. My administration prioritizes government transparency and accountability. The Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard will provide key data to the public and decision makers on how the state and counties are measuring up as we work towards 2030.
It's not every day that I get to speak for the mayor. And it's not every day that's April 1st. So that said, it's taking everything I have, but I'm going to go with it. On behalf of Kirk Caldwell, in his words, the city and county of Honolulu remains focused on achieving the Aloha Plus Challenge targets for sustainability. We've been aggressively pursuing the goals outlined in the challenge, particularly when it comes to multimodal transportation and clean energy. This commitment is evident by innovative pilot projects like the King Street Protected Bike Lane, the first of its kind in the state, retrofitting all of our nearly 52,000 city streetlights to LEDs, and $4 million proposed in this year's budget toward installing a photovoltaic system at H-Power. The Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard will serve as a compass to further guide us all as we strive toward sustainability by 2030. Mayor Kirk Caldwell.
Okay, so we'll start off with our first guest speaker, and it's Mayor Billy Kinoi from Hawaii Island. Mayor? Sit down here.
Aloha, aloha mai kako. I want to thank Senator Gabbard, Representative Chris Lee, all of the coordinators of this wonderful Aloha Plus Challenge. I want to thank our fellow mayors and chief executives, to President Lassner, Kamanao Pono from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Since everybody was so short, and I was the governor and the mayor from the city and county, I would keep mine real short too. You know, and everybody was holding their breath, like, for real, bro. I like see this. But really, it's an easy commitment to make for all of us. All of us, whether you born and raised here, you move here, but all of us who call Hawaii home. From us on Hawaii Island, we're proud to be part of this. We're very excited from where we were 8 months ago to where we are today. Because there's no anti-sustainability initiative. There's no anti-agricultural group, no anti-renewable energy. I think we're all committed, we're all cooperative, we're all collaborative, and we're all headed in the same direction. I think all of us want to leave a better Hawaii for our children. On Hawaii Island, we continue to maintain our commitment by creating the largest agricultural park in the state of Hawaii, the 1,739-acre Kapulena Agricultural Park in Hamakua. Anytime, I want to first introduce the people in our county who helped move this forward. And that's our Director of Research and Development, Ms. Kavehi Inaba, and our Deputy Director of Research and Development, Mr. Don Mende. Aloha, Don. When we talk to our farmers and we talk about, agricultural sustainability and food security, we know the issue is energy, access to water, training the next generation of farmers. So whenever we're approached to partner, whether it's getting our veterans farming initiatives on Hawaiian homelands, or starting a natural farming initiative out in Kohala, or partnering with the Kohala Center to train the next generation of farmers, as the average age of the farmer in Hawaii is now 59. Some say 60. So our commitment continues to be that. Of course, we commissioned the first in the state food self-sufficiency baseline study. Just like we're talking about when we talk dashboard. Yes, we're all for it. Yes, we're all committed to it. But how do we measure it? How do we know if what we're doing is working? How do we do more of what's working? And how do we maybe shift strategically resources from that which is not? Around energy, of course, Hawaii Island's very proud. About 52% of our energy needs is renewable with regards to geothermal, hydroelectric, wind, and solar power. So that comes out to about 86 megawatts of renewable capacity, not counting rooftop solar. So we're very proud of that. And hopefully, like we talk about, it's not about more renewable energy, it's about cheaper renewable energy. Because we know when we talk to the farmers and we talk about growing our island and agricultural self-sufficiency, the water is free and plentiful on Hawaii Island, but it's the energy that it takes to get it from where it is to the farmer who needs it. And that's the cost that makes it prohibitive sometime in the expansion of agriculture. Very proud that we had the first LEED certified government building in the state of Hawaii, the West Hawaii Civic Center, a 250 kilowatt photovoltaic system, no cost to the Hawaii County taxpayer, a third-party power purchase agreement, and that displaces 770 barrels of oil a year. We're currently building, and as you know, to get anything done in Hawaii, everybody got to work together. So we've been working, I think, my entire administration now, 6.5 years, going on 7, in a 2.3 megawatt wind farm in North Hawaii. But I got to thank Department of Land and Natural Resource, all of our state agencies, our community organizations, federal agencies that have helped us move that forward. Of course, 50,000 streetlights on City and County of Honolulu. We have 10,000 streetlights we're converting to LED on Hawaii Island. Also, we're hosting the 3rd annual Ocean Energy Conference this August, and it's an initiative that led to a 100 kilowatt ocean thermal energy conversion demonstration project. It's nice to talk about these great concepts and ideas, but it's more exciting when it's actually happening. And, we just awarded and finalized a conversion of our fleet, our trucks and buses, to B20 biodiesel to lessen our dependence on fossil fuels, and finally recycling. We started at 29% where it took office. We now have 37% renewable on Hawaii Island. We're moving 200 tons every day to recycling. That much less of our waste stream going into our landfills, extending the life of it. We continue to remain committed to recycling. We understand in an island state community, we all have to take care of the waste stream ourselves. And bottom line is, at the end of the day, we are measured by how well we take care of our islands, how well we provide for the future, for our children. And it's nice to be working with such wonderful people, all of you, to commit to the future of Hawaii. As we use words like sustainability, and these initiatives. But I like the Aloha Plus Challenge because it means respect for our land. It means compassion. It means love. And that's what this is all about, loving our Hawaii and taking care of our Hawaii. So mahalo nui loa, and God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Kanoi. Up next, flying in all the way from the island of Maui, is Mayor Alan Arakawa.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. I just want to say mahalo to everyone that's participating. I would love to have said mahalo to the governor and Mayor Caldwell, but they're busy doing their work, and that's very important too. To my fellow mayors, to David Lassner from the University of Hawaii and Dr. Crabb, just thank you for being here. You know, when we start looking at the Aloha Plus Challenge and we start looking at what we need to be able to attain in our communities, I think almost all of us can universally understand the need to be able to meet the goals that are in the Aloha Plus Challenge. Almost all of us believe that these goals are what will build our community's futures, and they're the building blocks that we have to be able to work with. To now put in the dashboard the method by which we're going to measure our success, I think this is a very important component, because without measurements, without understanding whether we're progressing or regressing, we won't know where we stand at any one time, and we won't know whether our efforts are truly meeting the goals that we want to be able to achieve. Now, on Maui, we've been working with a lot of the components of the Aloha Plus Challenge. Clean energy. Just last week, we had our second annual Clean Energy Conference. And coming off of that conference, we were able to talk with members from other communities like Big Island, Parker Ranch, and Kauai. And we've been working with the electric companies now for about 3 years on trying to be able to convert our landfills into a power source. And even though we've been working very hard and we've been trying to be able to negotiate, we finally come to the point where we're discussing very seriously starting our own electric company. You know, Parker Ranch is talking about doing this. On Kauai, they've been successful in doing this. When we look at the profits that are going to the electric company and to the stockholders, and we look at the prices of fuel here in Hawaii, 3 times higher than on the mainland, then it's about time we start really looking at why and what it's going to take to be able to reduce these costs for our community. And we may have to ask our legislators to change some of the rules, such as using the electric lines in Wheeling, being able to use those lines to be able to take power from one place to another and share those lines. But just as the phone company became antiquated in the way they were doing business, we are firmly convinced at this point that we need to do a very, very complete analysis on what's happening with the electric business right now. Bringing in a new product from outside of the state, whether it be natural gas or any other new product, does not build the sustainability in our community. And I think it's safe to say that everyone knows that we have the ability to produce 100% of all the energy we need in this state with the assets of our state. We should be working in this direction. This Aloha Plus Challenge will allow us to be able to measure that and be able to allow us to move much quicker to where we need to go and look at the components that we really need to. On Maui, we know that we have to be able to produce more food. We're currently in the process of purchasing another 350 plus acres for our ag park. That's in the works. Within the next couple of weeks, we should have that solidified. We're also looking at natural resource management. Along the coastline, we've been purchasing properties. So we've purchased large quantities of land in Lani Poko and along the coastlines on both north and south shores. Why? So that we have setbacks from the ocean, so that we have view planes, so that we can move our roads further off the highways, so off the ocean, so that the erosion doesn't eat into it and have our roads fall into the ocean. Currently, I'm looking at a chain of 10 condominiums that are about to be engulfed by the ocean. Why? When they planned their buildings about 30 years ago, they didn't consider the erosion factor. And while they were very safe 30 years ago, the factors have changed very strategically now. We need to be able to start looking at moving everything further and further back and protecting the areas along the coastline so we no longer threaten buildings because they come too close, because the erosion that's occurring naturally is now threatening them. We have to start thinking about transit systems. We have to be looking at waste reduction. We have to be looking at all of these components, the smart grid, to be able to build the kind of communities we need to. Things don't happen by accident. Things do not happen by accident. We have to be able to be smarter. We have to be able to use our resources better. We have to be able to realize what are our resources. And if we do this, and if I can do this before we run out of time, we will have built a sustainable community that we can all be proud of. So the direction that we're going, creating goals, creating benchmarks, we absolutely thank everyone for participating in this. We believe that's the way to go. We know that coming away from the discussions, many, many new concepts and ideas are being born. What the community never talked about 5 years ago now is becoming a very common discussion. The considerations that we were forbidden to discuss, now we're looking at very seriously and we're finding solutions. So thank you very much, and let's just keep going.
And now would you please give a warm welcome to Mayor Bernard Cavallo from Kauai County.
I don't know about this. I don't need stairs or steps. Okay. From the people of Kauai and Niihau, we send a warm aloha. I'd like to recognize our team members here. Ben Sullivan right there, he's my Sustainability Energy Director, and he's moving and rocking and rolling. And then we also have Mr. Pat Geegan over there. He's part of the team. He just was newly elected to KIUC, our KIUC board. And he's very staunch supporter, of course, Zero Waste Kauai, so we work very closely, Mr. Pat Geegan. Yes, we do. And his lovely daughter. And of course, Diane Zachary back there, she's just a good friend and facilitator, good bringing people together, and a very good, strong person in our community. So thank you, Diane, for that. Just wanted to open up, thank you so much to my fellow mayors and of course all of the leadership right here on stage. We're all doing what we're trying to do the best way we can for the people that we serve. And this opportunity with the Aloha Plus Challenge is just one more example of we collectively as a state pulling together, looking at how we can help each other, share the resources, bounce things off each other, understand the importance of how we maintain ourselves for the future. Present is okay, but the future is where we have to go. The past is what we learn from. We know that, basic. For Kauai, we have an internal working goal for our county to decrease our carbon footprint by 80% by the year 2023. And so we kind of came out with that. We have shown in many different ways. Let me clap, no worry, get them. Are you only 5 minutes? My Portuguese side is just coming out, okay. So by 2023, and we'll show examples of how we are working, and Mayor Billy stated really nicely that we got to get into the action of things already. We got to move into action. And sometimes you got to make those tough decisions, and that's collectively as mayors, we all work closely on how we can better our islands or our counties. We have a dozen projects moving forward on the Holo Holo 2020 vision. Back in 2010, I shared 38 projects that I thought would be very helpful for Kauai, and took Kauai on a virtual tour. And we started on the North Shore and ended up in beautiful Kokee. And all the projects came after that. We currently have a memorandum on MOU with our Kauai Utility Cooperative, working together on energy projects. A big plus on that. to show our people, to set an example that we as a government, working with our co-op collectively through a memorandum of understanding. So when I pick up the phone, Brother Bissell, come on, man. We got issues happening. How do we connect? What is some of the resources that I need? What help do I need as mayor? And what help do you need as a co-op as we continue to look and navigate to some of the opportunities coming our way? As we speak, KIUC is changing all over, working on a memorandum again of conversion of our LED streetlights, similar to Mayor Billy. We're already moving in that direction to convert our streetlights into LEDs. We also have building a big, largest solar farm so far in the state, 12 megawatt out in Anahola. We have another one on the west side in Eleele, another 12 megawatt facility there. Is that right? Come on, man. This guy, just because you care, you see, we're partners, okay? But anyway, so just wanted to mention that how important that kinds of partnerships are. And of course, we have a new biomass plant very shortly coming online, and that's another exciting part as we continue to look at ways to really utilize our energy opportunities. As for local food production, we're supporting our Kauai Grown program. You know, we have it out in the stores. When the stores come in, Safeway, the most recent Safeway is opening up on Kauai shortly. Talked to them, said, I want a Kauai Grown section in your store. I know you get corporate this and corporate that, but this is Kauai. So how we can get a Kauai Grown section in your store to give people a choice. They want to buy local, this is where you can go. Not only the mom and pops, which by the way, we got to continue to support, who've been there forever and ever and ever in our communities, the mom and pop, Suyoka store, Ishihara Market, got to support. You know, and they're at the threshold now of possibly not being there. So we got to make sure we malama them. Recently established a stewardship agreement for development of our first 75-acre kilowatt ag park. And this is another opportunity for the community to come in and say, we want to grow this and we want to grow this and that, or organic, or whatever it is. So we did a stewardship agreement with a local Malama Kauai organization or team from the community, and they Malama, they take care, we provide resources. You go ahead and Malama, we provide the water, whatever overall resources that you need, but you take care. You organize, you manage. So we're moving forward in the Kilowatt Ag Park coming up very shortly. We're also moving forward on a project that will capture methane gas over at our landfill in Kekaha. We're moving forward, Ben Sullivan. We want to make sure whatever gas is just dissipating as we speak. We've got to capture that gas so we can fuel our buses. We're looking forward as retrofitting our current buses and looking at new buses coming our way to ensure that we can utilize this methane. We have a study in place moving forward on utilizing that gas, methane gas from our current landfill. We launched our coral reef signage program out in the North Shore to teach people about the coral reefs and educate them via signage. One park so far, but we're going to start, it's just moving along, to how to malama and take care of some of our natural resources, namely our coral, which is having some issues, right, as you all know, in all of our islands. So just another example of moving forward. We also have our Kealahele Makalai coastal path by the ocean. When it's done, it's going to be a total of 18 miles. You can walk, bike, stroll, jump, hop, skip, walk backwards, whatever you want, but safe, 10 feet wide, concrete path along the coastline. You got to check this out, you guys. I'm telling you, we got one more section to go. Once we lay the foundation for that experience, it all ties into health and wellness. Our kupuna getting out there safe. Our visitors jumping on those pathways along the coastline. Our aunties and uncles jumping on the coastline. Families. The next step is to do feeder routes and connecting up into community. When you do spurs that tie you up to the park way up yonder. But if you choose, you can get from that park down to the beach in a safe environment, in a safe way, with your bike, walk, jump, or skip. However, okay. So that one is moving forward. Our first green affordable housing project in Eleele, Lima Ola. We're moving with the first phase in partnership with KIUC. What green features can we do in this very mixed-use affordable project that is coming forward? Veterans housing, senior housing, affordable, all of it mixed into this one green affordable housing project. We're moving on that very shortly, and as we continue to do that. We also have a shuttle service. We launched, I got all the big general managers and principal in one room. So we got to start this shuttle service here so we can get down into Hanalei and via a shuttle. and have people get out of their cars and visit Kea Beach and Hanalei Beach and the beautiful part of our island via shuttle service. The big picture is a whole shuttle that's going to happen one day. I don't know how yet, but going to happen. Where you park your car here and you get on that shuttle, it's how you're going to visit. But for now, it's just a pilot project. Which, by the way, guess what? Most of the people using the bus now is our local people. Why? Because they need to get to work. So that's supposed to start off with a visitor side of it. And now, so sometimes you just got to do it and move on it and get the right people with the right hearts and soul. Then it goes. And so that's just another example of just moving it forward. And then, of course, finally, just wanted to make sure that we understand the importance of staying together. I was sitting at the table, and I looked at this Aloha Challenge wheel. I call them the wheel. So you get clean energy, natural resource management, smart, sustainable communities, waste reduction, green workforce, education, and local food. Now you mash this up with the Lokahi wheel, the unity wheel. What does it say? Number 1, kuleana, responsibility. Number 2, kino, health and wellness, important. Number 3, mana'o, knowledge. Number 4, mana, the spirit that takes us to do what we gotta do. For man is what we gotta do. The mana'o, the morals, the humility that it takes as leaders to combine and work together, right? And then finally, the big one, ohana, family. So all of that ties in 6 make 12. Come on, you guys, let's go. So with that, I was just kind of thinking about that. And me and Billy and I talked about that too, and Mayor Allen. So bottom line is we're all trying in our own individual counties to do what we gotta do to make use and to embrace all the natural resources and make it work and come out with something that's gonna be sustainable, gonna help us to move forward, gonna help us to keep our families safe and strong so we can enjoy each other's lives forever and ever and ever, right? So mahalo, God bless, is all good. And as we continue to work closely with Governor Ige and all of our leaders here, it's all about hanging together because I'm telling you, we have an opportunity as a state to set this example for the world. I believe that. And it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are, it's with the heart and soul. Mahalo and God bless.
Wow. I represent Kailua, and if that wasn't the best community in the state, the second one I want to move to? Sounds pretty good. But right here on Oahu, leading the way, and there are a bunch of leaders here on this island too. Up next, Dr. David Lassner from the University of Hawaii. He's going to tell you all about some great stuff they're doing that is just amazing. Ask him the hard questions.
Nobody ever does that. So yes, with apologies to the young man who does not have old eyes, let me just acknowledge and thank a few people who are here from UH. And I look out and I just see an entire room full of our faculty, staff, administrators, and graduates. We're all part of the UH Ohana. But just in the front row, I see Matt Lynch, who will be up later, our sustainability coordinator, John Morton, our executive, who held down the fort for many years, and our most sustainable guy in the university, my boss, Randy Moore, the chair of the Board of Regents, who no doubt bicycled here. Yeah, thank you. So first, thank you all for welcoming me into the secret society of Green Growth Hawaii and the Aloha Dashboard Plus. I'm looking forward to the day when the seal has us on the back also on all of the papers. But it's really special to be here, and we appreciate the opportunity to collaborate with the leaders throughout the state of Hawaii. We're really excited about joining at this time. We missed it the first time around, but especially at the time of a dashboard, because that's very timely for us. For one thing, we're pretty serious data geeks at the university, all of us. But this is also a great time for us to look at how we can work together with all of our partners and embrace our responsibility as Hawaii's university to make a contribution and support sustainability across all our islands in a number of ways. One is to be an incubator for sustainability innovation. That's a unique role that only a university can really provide on a broad-based basis with the creativity, innovation, and enthusiasm of our faculty and students. We think we're in a great position to model highly sustainable practices across a very large, complex, more complex every day, statewide enterprise. And that's a challenge that we really embrace to test ideas and to share what works and what doesn't work for other enterprises across the state. We're looking forward to catalyzing and contributing to Hawaii's emerging green economy. It's a big part of what we do across the state. And perhaps most importantly, it's our responsibility and commitment that we embrace to develop graduates who are informed and engaged global citizens who will help all of our communities around the islands address the challenges of climate change that we all face. We've been pretty busy over the past months, and we get to catch up with longer because we weren't here in July. But last month we hosted our third annual Higher Education Sustainability Summit. And that's a real grassroots opportunity to bring together our students, faculty, and administrators, and not just from UH, but from the other higher education institutions in Hawaii, to help us all move forward and generate great ideas. And that's really, for us, the genesis of much of the work that I'll share with you now. As of last week, we have a new sustainability policy. So we go paperless. My remarks are paperless. The policy was adopted paperlessly and wirelessly. But our new policy sets out a set of measurable goals, including our UH commitment to become fossil fuel neutral by 2050. Moving forward, that executive policy also sets out an implementation strategy in some detail for how we will actually implement the Board of Regents policy that was adopted a year ago. And that lays out our work really across 4 areas. One is the operations of the university. We're, as I mentioned, a very large enterprise. What we have to do in curriculum so that we can educate students for the future. The work that we do in scholarship and applied scholarship with our faculty and our students, and our work on community engagement, which is something we're doing on a daily basis. We have a newly established or reestablished Vice President for Administration who is embracing the responsibility to be our executive champion and sponsor. And the work will be done through a new Office of Sustainability that we have committed to establish, a system-wide sustainability council pulling together our students, faculty, and staff from all 10 of our campuses, and a sustainability curriculum council. We are in the process of developing our own metrics, targeted, well, informed by this dashboard, but really targeted around our sustainability goals that are established in our new executive policy, and that will be informed by the work of our system-wide sustainability council, and looking at ensuring we have a mechanism to fund some of the investments we need to make, whether it's a green revolving fund or perhaps the work of our colleague Representative Lee, HB 1509, which is now up to HD3, SD1. So it is enduring the kind of revision and re-revision that all good works enjoy, and we're optimistic that something will come out the other end of that, hopefully with money. And lastly, hot off the press, let me just say that as of this afternoon, we had a report from our Board of Regents Task Group on Sustainability, and it is my expectation that next month the University of Hawaii will be the first organization, I believe, in the state to adopt a formal policy on divestment from fossil fuels with our modest endowment. Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Dr. Kamana'o Crab, the CEO for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Velina ke aloha kuyaka kua pau, aloha. He nohona ai oia means cultural sustainability. And cultural sustainability really is about shared kuleana or responsibility for all of us. As you see here today, is a great representation of the leadership. Unfortunately, Governor Ige and Mayor Caldwell could not be here, but with the leadership of the county, of the mayors here, with Kenoi Arakawa and Bernard Carvalho, and President Lassner throughout the UH system statewide, and OHA representing the Native Hawaiian community, this truly is a collaborative effort. By all of us committing and renewing our commitment to the Aloha Plus Challenge, it really is about our shared perpetuation and preservation of our heritage of self-sufficiency and preservation of natural resources. The Aloha Plus Challenge really embodies the Hawaiian saying, malama I ka aina I mohala I na kanaka o ke kulaiwi. When one cares about and shares in that responsibility for preserving our natural resources, man thrives, and that's very important. You've heard a lot about energy, conservation, about Hawaii green growth, and all of these measures. Well, OHA is a partner in this initiative as well. We recently acquired 500 plus acres. I want to acknowledge Leah Hong and the Trust for Public Lands in our effort. Sorry to put you on the spot, Leah. But it is one of our goals to contribute to statewide food security, and with those lands at Kukane Local, we hope to convert 500 acres of that to actual food production, as well as the cultural preservation and protection of the Kukane Local birthing site. We also look to collaborate with the state in the IUCN World Conservation Congress conference in 2016, as OHA is a financial sponsor and is part of the planning working committee. We look to work with other foundations like Dr. Kanashiro back there from the Exemplary Foundation. And recently today with a new relationship, I probably say renewed relationship with NOAA and the Office of Natural Marine Sanctuaries. Look forward to working with you there. We also at OHA have been part of the Hawaii Green Growth Working Group. So want to really thank the committee for all of their diligence, and especially all the dashboards, which I look forward to. What mostly OHA brings to the table really is that cultural component and elevating cultural ike or knowledge in terms of sustainability. It's something where we look to our ancestors to bring cultural technologies and elevate them today in the contemporary society. And that cannot be done without cooperation such as Laulima, Malama, caring for each other, caring for the land, and doing it right in Pono, doing it right and in Lokahi with all of us. We continue to support the efforts of preserving our public trust in terms of water, that it's not only portable drinking water, but also that there's downstream flow where native crops and practitioners can grow, as well as contemporary agriculture. Currently, we have bills in the hopper this legislative session that looks at amending the State Planning Act to promote and encourage native technologies, such as loko'i'a fish ponds, lo'ikalo preservation of other crops such as sweet potato, and so forth. We continue to work with the Hui Malama o Loko'i'a, the fish pond network, in promoting many of that. And lastly, we have a bill this legislature, and we're crossing our fingers that it passes, is really the promotion of native species plants throughout the state as part of landscaping on state and hopefully county properties. So we're really looking forward to that moving forward. Lastly, what I want to leave is there's a Hawaiian saying, "Elua mea no ke ola." There are really two essential things for the existence of man: something to believe in, and a purpose for living. I believe that Aloha Plus Challenge is that purpose, and we can all believe in it for the better good of our state, for the better good of our communities, and the generations of tomorrow. So, like many of my colleagues have shared, I encourage all of us to empower ourselves in order to strengthen Hawaii moving forward. No laila, mahalo nui aku ia o koa pau. Mahalo.
Mahalo to our chief executives for their leadership and their continued commitment to sustainability through the Aloha Plus Challenge. It's exciting to hear about all of the initiatives that are going on across the state and what we can achieve by working together.
So now's the moment we've been waiting for, all night, and I get a little bit of a tingle in my fingers because I feel like Steve Jobs here. We're about to unveil something amazing. But we're going to have a chance to see a live demo of the online dashboard, as well as hear about other updates from the Aloha Plus Challenge. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce the co-chairs tonight of the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard project. First of all, where did she go? Right down here in the front, Jacqueline Kozak-Teal, the State Sustainability Coordinator. And Matthew Lynch, UH System Sustainability Coordinator.
Aloha mai kako. I was just telling Senator Gabbard and Representative Lee that they could join our other amazing leaders. I promised them that they would get a front row seat to the dashboard presentation. And I just really wanted to thank, again, Senator Gabbard and Representative Lee. We really couldn't have asked for better MCs for this event tonight, so just thank you guys so much. You want to come up? So we were originally going to have our colleagues join us up here, but we realized that they would be blinded by the presentation. So I just want to take a moment. Really having a lead staff person to work with on the Aloha Plus Challenge in each of the jurisdictions, it really makes such a huge difference. And I want to recognize the committed professionals who fulfill this role in each of the signatory jurisdictions of the Aloha Plus Challenge. And I really just love working with these people, so it's a great honor to recognize them. So if you guys wouldn't mind standing, maybe we can hold our applause till all of them are standing. First, Rob Parsons from Maui County, Don Mendy from Hawaii County, Ben Sullivan from Kauai County, Kealoha Fox, I didn't get to see her yet, but hopefully she's here. And also the wonderful guy next to me, Matt Lynch. The University of Hawai, as you heard from President Lassner, is just such a key partner to the state counties and OHA and Aloha Plus Challenge. And I also want to mention Justin Grunstein. He's with the City and County of Honolulu, but he's also working on the zipper situation. So, but really working with these folks is one of the best parts of my job, and I just really want to mahalo all of you for the tireless work that you've done to work on the Aloha Plus Challenge since we launched it this summer. I also want to give my heartfelt mahalo to our leaders that just spoke. I was so pleased to get a chance to talk with them, talk story with them before this event. Our governor was able to join us briefly upstairs and really reaffirmed his commitment to the Aloha Plus Challenge. As he mentioned in his quote, he was one of the early champions of the Aloha Plus Challenge as a state senator, and now as governor, really focusing on this. And so just thank you all. I've been so inspired coming to your islands over the last year, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but then again, hearing how much has happened just in the last 8 months. Sorry, I'm going to turn on my PowerPoint to you guys for my mahalo slide. Here you go. And while I'm doing my mahalos, and really, I think Mayor Kanoi mentioned this, but this really is about future generations, all of the work that we're doing. So mahalo to that, to all of you. And I also want to thank Hawaii Green Growth. My position is new in the state and very much their help has been key in helping my position through their partnerships. They just have such an effective way of bringing people together. And so I want to thank all the diverse members of Hawaii Green Growth. So many of you are in the audience, and the superstar staff, Audrey Newman and Brianna Rose. And there are tons more people that I would want to thank, and it's really hard for me not to, but I promised Audrey that we're going to divide and conquer, so she is going to give all the mahalos, the rest of them, at the end. So before we go to the very exciting live demo of the dashboard that I know you're all waiting for, we're going to just tease you a little bit longer because Matt and I wanted to provide you a quick update about what else has happened with the Aloha Plus Challenge since it was launched 8 months ago, and also an overview of the dashboard project, how this dashboard came out to be. So a lot has happened, and I was really pleased to hear kind of the global mentions of the impacts of the Aloha Plus Challenge, because that's certainly what I'm going to share with you. Shortly after our chief executive signed on to the Aloha Plus Challenge, the state of Hawaii was invited to serve on the U.S. delegation to a conference specifically about island sustainability, a UN conference in Samoa, and we were internationally recognized for this commitment to Aloha Plus Challenge, which is so amazing. And we were joined on stage at a high-level event with the Global Island Partnership by the U.S. head of delegation from the White House, who quoted, and it's in the brochures you all received, that really Hawaii is a domestic model of an integrated approach to sustainability. And while we were there, we just happened to also be so fortunate that the wonderful crews of the Worldwide Voyage also were in Samoa and took part in this UN conference. And we participated in a leaders sale that got the UN Secretary General on the board of the Hokulea. And really what we talked about is the Aloha Plus Challenge is Hawaii's commitment to Malama Honua. And that is the message that the Hokulea and the Hikianalia are carrying around the world right now as our global ambassadors. We are also afterwards, because of what people had learned at this UN conference, invited to speak at the cities and states summit at the UN Convention on Biological Diversity in Korea. And really I was so fortunate that I got to participate in these different events, along with others, many others, especially in Samoa. We had a huge Hawaii contingency there, is that it really helped me to see ourselves differently. And I truly agree with what some of our leaders said, that Hawaii has an opportunity to be a global leader. Our small islands have a mighty voice on what the world is grappling with right now. And I think that the world is really eager to hear, and we're uniquely positioned to share about our Aloha approach to sustainability. So really inspiring things that's been happening on an international and national stage with Aloha Plus Challenge. But we've been busy locally too, as you heard from all of our different leaders. Since then, we really wanted to make sure that this truly was a statewide effort. And so we've visited and had meetings and community briefings in each of the neighbor islands since signing on to the Aloha Plus Challenge. Our first was Kauai Island, and then we went on to Maui, and also Hawaii Island. And not only did we have a chance to organize these great community briefings with the mayor's offices and work closely with them, but one of my favorite parts was we highlighted bright spots in each of these jurisdictions in all 6 of the targets. So all of us left so inspired. We had the statewide team learning about these different areas. And one other thing that happened was from the Senate resolution that Senator Gabbard mentioned, my position was tasked with coming up with a report on recommendations on taking action and tracking progress for the Aloha Plus Challenge. And this report's online, but it reflects input from over 100 sustainability leaders from across the state. So I really encourage you to look at all the good information that I gathered with a lot of help from other folks. So the other thing that we've been working on, and that's why we're all here tonight, is for the dashboard project. This has been one of the major things that we've really come together as kind of the next steps for the Aloha Plus Challenge, is measuring our progress, tracking where we are. And I wanted to share this quote with all of you that we've been sharing in all of our community briefings, because it really has guided our work. And it's, for sustainability to have any meaning, it must be tied to clear and rigorous definitions, mileage markers, and metrics. And I was just, this has been so inspiring to me, because We have a great state official definition of sustainability that 10,000 people gave input to through the Hawaii 2050 sustainability process. So, okay, we got that. The mileage markers, we have the Aloha Plus Challenge in terms of where we want to be at 2030 in all these different areas of sustainability. And the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard is about establishing those metrics. So the dashboard was actually created by an amazing team. It was part of what we're calling the Sustainability Measures Dashboard Project, or Startup Project. It was convened by Hawaii Green Growth, the organizers of this event. It's co-chaired by Matt Lynch at University of Hawaii and myself, and he'll talk about our founding co-chair as well a little bit later. And it has over 50 people from government, both state and counties, academia, nonprofit organizations, philanthropies, businesses, all working together to develop joint sustainability indicators around these 6 Aloha Plus Challenge targets. And we're really looking at this as a pilot dashboard. One reason is because we worked in the first year together on 2 of the 6 targets. So you'll see tonight we developed indicators around clean energy and solid waste reduction. But we also really wanted to see how we could, put together a statewide team, and if we could really align all these data sets and do this kind of work. And what we found, I'm going to come back to that. What we found at the last meeting in Hawaii was that we really felt like this was a valuable process, because not only were we identifying these indicators, but we also had built this incredible relationships together that are moving the needle in the right direction, and Matt's going to talk about that a little bit. So as a group, we're actually really committed to moving forward. I just want to move back to that last slide because I told you I was not going to thank too many other people, but I do want to give a special shout out to one person. He couldn't be here tonight, but Ben Sullivan and other friends from Kauai are going to carry it back to him. Kauai County really was an early leader on this. They were our first funders of this project, and they have an incredible community indicators program that Diane Zachary, who's here with us, was the leader around in the community. And they really said that we need this to be a statewide effort. We need to have shared measures if we're going to all work towards these goals together. So I just really want to thank Glenn Sato and the Kauai County team for their early leadership on this. And I'm just going to end with what we're promising. So we're kind of graduated from this startup phase, and we have such a committed team. Many of them, you'll see how many of them are in the room, 50 people across the state, many people who couldn't be here tonight. And we're committed. We're going to finish this dashboard by the end of 2017. We have 2 of the 6 targets done for tonight, but we're going to continue working on them, addressing data gaps. And in this year, we're actually going to focus on natural resource management next. And that's really exciting because there's a lot of pieces of that target: watershed protection, freshwater security, invasive species control, marine management, native species restoration. So it's going to be a lot of work to bring lots of data sets together, and what a perfect time to share early progress in the Aloha Plus Challenge at the World Conservation Congress, and also show off our dashboard of natural resource indicators. So I'm really excited that this project is now going from startup to taking off and getting to share this dashboard with you. And Matt's going to share a little bit about the process of how these indicators were selected before you see the dashboard.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah. Okay, so President Lassner earlier made mention of the University of Hawaii being full of data geeks, and I'm one of those rare individuals that is a process geek. So I'm going to share a little bit about the process that we've gone through to get this. Is this where I'm starting, or do I click on the next one? Yeah, okay, thanks. Bear with me. I was caught in Cyclone Pam 2 weeks ago, and once I reestablished communications, Jackie was kind enough to help me, coach me along so I could be here and share this. And while we're all here to celebrate the product of the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard, this process and the people that have been involved to develop this new online tool has been so rewarding and so valuable, and has really helped us to learn so much more. I'm very proud to say that the University of Hawaii initiated the Sustainability Measures Project in partnership with Hawaii Green Growth, and that the state and counties and with the state and counties, and has also been an active co-chair and participant since the beginning of this extensive process to develop joint indicators for the dashboard. I'd like to take a moment and invite, oh, I messed that up. Oh, there we go. I'd like to invite Sharon Moriwaki to please stand so that we can recognize her. Sharon is the Associate Director of the UH Public Policy Center, and co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And she was really the pioneer and the first co-chair in this effort. And without her, we would be, I don't know where we'd be. So thank you so much. And I know you guys are all waiting on the edge of your seats to see the actual live dashboard, but I'm going to share a quick overview. Yeah, we're going to tease you a little bit longer. So a quick overview about how we developed the dashboard as a cross-sector statewide team. Over the last year, as Jackie mentioned, we've had a meeting in every county, beginning on Oahu, to inventory the many different sustainability indicators projects across the state in each of the 6 Aloha Plus Challenge targets. Because the clean energy sector had made such tremendous strides in developing comprehensive metrics, we decided, well, let's start there to identify indicators for the Aloha Plus dashboard. And it started by meeting with a small expert team of people who collect and are familiar with this data, such as the State Energy Office, the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, and Blue Planet, so that we could establish a beginning list of credible indicators. Our cross-sectors measures team had our first statewide meeting at Kauai at KCC, Kauai Community College campus. After the community briefing in the morning, our team met to select indicators that are meaningful and actionable with the available data. The cross-sector process that involves stakeholders inside and outside of the energy field also helped to ensure that the dashboard is easy to understand by both decision makers and the public. And as Audrey kept reminding us, we got to make sure that auntie and uncle know what we're talking about when we release the dashboard. And I can't tell you how valuable it has been to have people, the experts inside the field, but also to have that perspective from people outside that sector. Following these statewide meetings, our expert interagency and partner team would then start working with the Office of Information and Technology to input the data and the information on the dashboard. This looks like Maui. That was very productive and also a lot of fun. That's the other key thing about this, is there's so much value just in convening people that are in the ground, on the field, working on this data together. And it's incredible what happens when you get these people in the same room, the kind of synergy and things that you discover, both about what you know, but also what you don't know. We decided to tackle solid waste reduction indicators as our second target for year 1. This was a great and challenging process, since there was far less statewide coordinated data work that had been done for solid waste. And also very interesting because in that process, it was a similar process where we had that small expert team, and then when we got everybody together, we realized things that we hadn't thought about in that initial meeting. So again, indicative of the value of convening these groups together. There were solid waste experts from every county. I think this was the first time that this group from across the state had been gathered in the same room. From the State Department of Health and partners to identify indicators that were then reviewed by our cross-sector measures team on Maui in the summer. It's been a major feat since that meeting to align all the different data sets so that we can begin sharing information about our progress on solid waste reduction. And it's fascinating to watch a room full of waste reduction experts debate the merits of what actually is waste, and it should really be called discarded resources, and talking trash passionately. We had to literally separate some of the people, which was a good exercise for, source separation, all that good stuff. Anyway, this is Big Island. Yes? Yes. And our final part of the process this year was to gather in Hawaii County in November to go over our dashboard and to scope out next steps to continue and build upon and improve this effort. It's important to note that at each of the measures meetings, we brought together a regular statewide team as well as new partners from the community to broaden that participation. I heard it likened to the sort of rolling circus that gathers additional participants as it moves from county to county. So now that the indicators for the clean energy and solid waste are up on the dashboard, I'm going to tease you for 2 more slides. This flowchart gives you a sense of the intricate step-by-step process that we use as we jointly develop indicators for each Aloha Plus Challenge target on the dashboard. This is the stuff that as a process geek gets me really excited. Our ultimate goal is to institutionalize these indicators while we continue to improve the dashboard as new data becomes available. And as valuable as the dashboard is, we have also discovered how valuable this process is, and this what we are able to learn and discover from each other when we have this cross-sector approach and are able to focus on convening people, getting the right people in the right room at the right time. So as I said, the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard, it's really about process and people. There have been many, many co-benefits to embarking on this first ever multi-sector sustainability dashboard for Hawaii, especially the strong network of relationships that has been built through the collaboration. There's a shot of part of our team that we after the measures team's meeting, we're able to participate in site visits to learn a little bit more and get some team building, but also some experiential education firsthand of what's going on. This is with Richard Ha's farm out in Big Island. And this has really helped us to build a statewide network to share best practices and build new partnerships to move the needle in the right direction. It reminds us that this shot is at Hawaiian Cultural Village over in Maui, which was a profound experience, I must say, for all of us on the measures team, to make sure that we can keep connected with the indigenous cultural values that ground us all in this place, and remind us that all the answers are indeed right here, if we're able to listen. It also reminds us that measuring our progress on and meeting the targets of the Aloha Plus Challenge will take all of us working together.
Ready to see the dashboard? Okay, so I'm actually going to sit over here because we figured out today during the tech test that it is a little bit easier for me to see. So let's click on this guy. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Thanks, friends. Awesome, thank you. And Matt's going to go sit so he can see too, because he was in Vanuatu while this was getting finished up. So this is going to be a sneak preview for him as well. So, and we're going to show that URL again, because I'm only going to have a little bit of time tonight to show you some highlights from the dashboard, and then you can explore it in more in depth, because I know if you're here, you're probably a data geek too. So if you go to the home page, you'll see there's some information about the Aloha Plus Challenge and a link to the declaration. And our top two pilot targets, clean energy transformation, and we're going to explore those a little bit, and solid waste reduction are at the top. And then as you scroll down, you'll see that all of the targets are here. So natural resource management, as I said, we're going to be working on, it will be finished by 2016. Local food production and consumption is one that folks are always really interested in. How are we doing on our food self-sufficiency? We're going to be working on that as well to have that complete by 2016. And then also smart, sustainable communities and green workforce and education. So really exciting to have UH here. I think also we have our superintendent, Matayoshi, I think was planning to attend too from DOE. So going to be just so many key, oh, hi. So there's just going to be so many key partners throughout what's so great about this is every single target is going to bring new friends into this process to our traveling circus, as Matt called it. So I'm going to take you up so you can see, when you go to the dashboard, you'll click on these boxes. And what we call these boxes are the categories of indicators that tell the story of how we're doing on clean energy transformation. So let's click on total energy use. I'm sorry. Keith told me to remind you all that we're using the Wi-Fi in the Capitol basement, so it might be a little bit slower than it is on your home computer. So at the top here, this is what we call our primary indicator or our goal. Each of the goals at the top, we are either measuring them or we're measuring them against a goal. So you'll either see that it's just measuring or that we are on track or we need improvement. And we'll show some of those that are on track and some of them we need to work a little bit harder at if we're going to meet our 2030 goal. Something I think that's interesting, a highlight for total energy, when I was talking to the State Energy Office yesterday too, is we're going to scroll down, and so there's lots of information. You have that top primary indicator, and all these supporting indicators are extra data at the bottom, is dollars spent on imported fossil fuel. And as our good friend Rocky from State Energy Office, who's been a major champion this, said yesterday, this is just our cost of our addiction to oil, right? And in 2012, it was $4.9 billion that we as a state spend on imported fossil fuels. So let's see that number go down. Another key piece of our total energy use that will link us to the other categories of indicators, we'll go to another box, is what the different sectors of our total energy use. And as you can see, the yellow is ground transportation and the blue is power. So transportation and electricity are going to be major players in terms of our total energy use and what we do in those areas to go through the clean energy transformation. So I'm going to go back to electricity. And electricity is one of the indicators that all of us should be really excited about, because we get the exciting performance measure of being on track for our 70% goal. And that 70% is combining renewable energy and energy efficiency in the electricity sector. And so we're at 33.7%. And we're on track. We actually hit our milestone, I think, for renewables ahead of schedule. So we're at 18, I think, and we were supposed to be at 15 in 2015. So it's really so wonderful to see the data reflect the commitment that we have. One other piece on electricity, that every time that we could, we wanted to break out the data, not just by state, but because the Aloha Plus Challenge is about the commitments, shared commitment of the state and counties and OHA, showing how the counties are doing as well. And so these are the Renewable Energy Portfolio Standards is a great place to check out how the counties are doing. And we use the term co-opetition in our measures group, so it's friendly competition, but cooperation too, to try to reach these goals together. So the renewable energies and the energy efficiencies are great places to kind of watch how each of the counties are doing in comparison to each other. And Mayor Arakawa mentioned that he just made the announcement of his intent of making Maui County the first county in the nation that will reach 100% renewables. So it's a good race to watch, you guys. Next, we're gonna go to something that really made me so happy about this is it was really an interagency effort, because the State Energy Office and other experts helped us so much with the Clean Energy Dashboard. But a big piece of this is not only the economic impact of how much fossil fuel we import, but the environmental impact of that fossil fuel. And this is the Department of Health really worked with us to visualize for the first time and share this kind of data with our greenhouse gas emissions. And what's so amazing to see, you guys, and I really encourage you to click on this show chart or hide chart, look at that drop. Guess what that drop is from? Commitment to the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative and the Aloha Plus Challenge target of 70% clean energy. I mean, to see that our commitments really make a difference and make a difference in a way that we can measure is so exciting. And so this is the greenhouse gas emissions from the power sector, from stationary sources. The power sector accounts for 81% of the emissions of our state for stationary sources. And as the renewable energy and energy efficiency went up, our emissions went down. That is so awesome. So I just really want to thank everybody that's involved in helping to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Good job. One of the things as a group we said we really wanted to show too is the individual impact of each of these targets. So the average energy use per person we thought was a really great place for people to personally connect to what these different indicators mean. And this was something that was really striking to us, and I know so often we think in terms of dollars, right? We don't think of necessarily in terms of barrels of oil. However, I will give you a metric on that, is each one of us spends over $3,000 on imported fuel per year. That is a lot of money that each of us are spending on that. I sure as heck would like to spend it on other things. And the other thing is the fossil fuel use, the barrels of oil. And I thought this, I really want to thank, Sheila is going to be thanked later today, but she was our communications person that helped to interpret a lot of this data. And I thought this was such an interesting tidbit that she put in the interpretation underneath, is that each person in Hawaii, our fossil fuel usage amounted to 37,440 barrels of oil per person. That amount of oil can fill more than 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So really making these numbers matter to us and understand what the impacts are of making a commitment to clean energy transformation. The other piece that I'll say is this isn't just about data. This is about learning more and making a difference. So if you go to each of the boxes, there'll be this section that gives you links to more information. So thank you to Hawaii Energy and KIUC, for example, for giving us links to energy efficiency. We know that's really where we need to start in terms of our clean energy goals. Transportation, which I'll go back to, we know one of the things, I think, especially with the traffic situation that we're reaching here, multimodal is really important. So riding your bike and taking the bus, these things really add up, these individual actions. And was really happy that Mayor Caldwell mentioned his King Cycle Track, because that is a really exciting thing happening here on Oahu. So if you look at transportation, there isn't a number there, and I want to just highlight that briefly. As the governor mentioned in his quote, and I'm not sure if Director Ford Fujigami is here from the Department of Transportation, but he recently convened a statewide sustainable transportation committee with the counties, with a lot of partners, and that committee, in addition to working on projects together and funding to build more multimodal options for our communities, both for clean energy and transportation sector and for smart sustainable communities, is going to be working on metrics for the transportation sector. So this is one of the areas that you're going to see will be built out over in the next couple of years. But in the meantime, there's a lot of great information here about what we're doing as a state. Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative 2.0, the State Energy Office, they're really focusing on that more holistic approach to our Aloha Plus Challenge clean energy target and to the initiative by looking at transportation and electricity. So that's clean energy. I'm going to take us down to solid waste. You heard a lot of things. And Matt is right. I never thought I would learn so much about trash as I did in the last year. And I'm just so thankful. I call them our waste experts, but they're our discarded resources experts. They've taught us a lot about changing our thinking around solid waste. And I want to start with our total solid waste reduction, because the Aloha Plus Challenge target is to reduce our solid waste as a state by 70% by 2030. And data doesn't lie. You know, we have a lot of data gaps, but we were really able to align lots of different spreadsheets and information from the counties with coordination help from the Department of Health and the state. And this is an area that we really need more attention and investment in if we're going to meet the goals. We are not on track. We're at 40.1%, so on the way to 2030, this is something that we're going to have to really pay more attention to. One other thing that I wanted to mention under here is, so this number is focused on our solid waste reduction using the 3 R's, reduction, reuse, recycle. If you go down, you can also, I know Mayor Caldwell mentioned H-Power is the total solid waste reduction with H-Power. So with H-Power, that goes up to 70%. And what we do here is an educational opportunity to talk about the waste management hierarchy from the Environmental Protection Agency. And so the 3 R's that we all grew up, the great Jack Johnson song that we know is a really important piece of our strategy as state reducing solid waste, and then also seeing how energy recovery is, you know, a preferred method over treatment and disposal. So working together across the state, each of the counties figuring out their own strategies for solid waste reduction and sharing those best practices. And I'll show you the recycling one in a little bit, but it's pretty incredible, the different programs that are each in them. So another place for friendly competition is the solid waste reduction by county. So you'll be able to see these comparisons. And this is another great one. And I think the team to beat here might be Kauai County. Those folks are on HPR this week. And first zero waste resolution in the state and first pay as you throw program. And so watch out for Kauai, guys. They're going to be reducing some serious waste over there. So we'll be seeing they're yellow. And I'm going to hope to see all these colors go down. So next, wanted to just talk about, so even though we're, you know, not quite on track for our solid waste reduction, there are a lot of great things happening, and I'll talk about that with recycling. But it's still pretty staggering to understand that we are generating, it's over 2 million tons of waste every single year. That is a lot. That is a lot of trash. And you can again see by county how much we're generating by each of the counties. And of course, a lot of that is associated with population, but this is another good indicator to look at the comparisons between each of them. The good news is that, like I said, we have great recycling programs in each of the counties and in partnership with the State Department of Health. And we, of all that tonnage, we're recycling 866,000 about of those tons recycling. And one of the things that a lot of the experts taught me is still, even when we're recycling, a lot of that materials are being shipped to other places. And so what the clean energy fields really taught me is the economic and entrepreneurial opportunities. We have one of the fastest clean energy sectors, and green jobs is a part of the Aloha Plus Challenge in the nation. And so thinking about what are those opportunities of scale for a zero waste philosophy, for example. One thing that I think is really great is looking at the recycled materials by type. I know the Department of Health has been really advocating for us to expand our electronic waste recycling. So if you look at that, that's one of the lower places that we're recycling. So those bills have been introduced in the legislature. If we invest and support more electronic waste recycling, we're going to see that change in these numbers. And you'll actually have a chance to look at the recycling by materials in each of the counties, and there's wonderful information about their programs. And I've just been so impressed by the recycling programs in each of the counties. It's pretty amazing. Hawaii County has an award-winning recycling center, actually. So lots of great information. Sorry that I have to scroll through it kind of quickly. Just like transportation, the metrics around reduce and reuse are really complicated. And so we are going to be working on to figure out ways that we can measure our goals around that, but they're still really critical to our waste management strategy. So like transportation, there's great information in here about how you can learn more about source reduction, how you can get involved, links, opportunities for how you can make a difference personally. And in the reuse one, same, a narrative of explaining what reuse is and how you can do it, and a lot about what we're doing here as a state with reuse. We have Reuse Hawaii here on Oahu that I know my husband's built a lot of furniture from materials from Reuse Hawaii that are reclaimed materials. And Hawaii County actually has reuse centers that are linked with the recycling centers, so really great model. And that's what we really want to do on the dashboard too, is share these different bright spots, because that will help that co-opetition of, wow, that county's going faster, what are they doing, and what can we do in our county to make the same sort of difference? So lots of different ways, because really it is all up to us to help reach these targets. Last one I'll touch on for waste is the waste to energy, which is information specific to Oahu. And I know our City and County of Honolulu friends couldn't join us. I'm not sure if Mike O'Keefe is here, but he's been a great help from the City and County of Honolulu. He's a recycling specialist with them. But I think that the H-Power and the waste to energy piece is, so as you can see from this, it's 678,000 over that total tons that go to H-Power. But how we ended up really talking about this as a group is it's a great example of how these targets are interconnected. And that's why we put together Aloha Plus Challenge as we did with our leaders, because as you said, the circle. All of these things are interconnected, and so there's the nexus between energy and water and waste and food. All of these things are related, and so as much as possible as we can show those opportunities of how these things relate. So if you go down with the waste to energy category, you'll see how much was converted to energy, and so they do a lot of recovered metal recycling at H-Power. And this part I think is really interesting is the fossil fuel imports that are actually avoided because of H-Power. So another great place to explore when you have the chance. So I'm going to put the URL up on there just kind of while I close about this a little bit in case you want to write it down, because you're so dying to explore the data. Don't forget when you look at the primary indicator to click on show the chart so that you can see kind of the chart come up in the different colors and see how we're doing on the different lines. But really what I wanted to kind of share at the end here was that I'm just so excited to have this data online. We were talking earlier today that, sorry Audrey, what are you pointing out? Oh, and if you don't have a chance to copy it down, the link is actually in the brochure that you can grab one of those too. But having this data online, we've been going through an open data transformation process as a state, and we're one of the states that's really leading on this. It's about taking data that a lot of times has been in file cabinets and actually coordinating it and getting it online to share. So this is, as Matt said, it's for the public and it's for decision makers. And it will help us do such a better job at what we're trying to accomplish here with sustainability. You can't manage what you can't measure is a great quote that's out there. And so this is not only doing that, but it's measuring, as Kauai says in their community indicators, it's measuring what matters to us. This really is a living dashboard. There are a lot of data gaps. We found that out going through the process. And so not only will the data be updated at least annually of the existing indicators in there, but we're going to be continuing to work together as a team, not only to build out the new indicators and natural resources and food, et cetera, but continuing to improve the indicators that we already have up there as new data becomes available. For example, I just learned from Department of Health, next year they're going to be doing a statewide greenhouse gas emissions inventory, which is really amazing because right now we only have emissions from stationary large power sector emitters, but this is going to be stationary and mobile. So imagine how much more information we're going to have about our greenhouse gas emissions and being able to track that as we work on sustainable transportation. That is going to be so awesome. The other thing we really realized is we haven't done a landfill composition study in how many years, Pat? About 10 years. So we don't even know what types of trash we're sending to the landfill. So these types of informations are really, really important to us to inform our strategy. So that's one of the things we've been working with the legislature on too, is looking at how we could potentially fund these types of studies and analysis that we need so that we can invest in this commitment. I really want to thank our amazing team again. It's just been such a delight to work with all of you on this. It really has been about data plus relationships, and these are all incredibly committed people that are really working on the ground constantly, not just to collect these numbers, but to move these numbers. Like I said, it's an iterative process that we're really hoping that will educate people, engage people in the Aloha Plus Challenge, because really that's what this is about, is a culture of sustainability, and maybe even spark some friendly competition between all the Aloha Plus Challenge signatories to race to the top. Just really want to thank all of you for coming tonight. It's really such a pleasure to get to this point of sharing this with you, sharing our work, and we'll continue to keep you updated and would love your feedback on how to make this better. I want to thank you for all you do to make a more sustainable Hawaii, and let's keep tracking progress on our way to our future. Here's the URL. I'm going to give it to our MCs for our closing, and I think Audrey's going to get to thank a lot of the people I didn't have a chance to. Thank you all so much.
Great job, Jackie. Come on. How about that for passionate dedication? You know, Chris and I were sitting there watching it, and he looked over at me and he says, wow, this is really cool. And I was saying, yeah. And the reason why it's so cool, of course, is because, as I said to him, this is the ammunition that we need as we introduce the legislation to convince our colleagues to get on board, and to, especially the money chairs. This is what we need. This is what we've not had. This is what we need. So this is really cool, if I can quote my counterpart from the House. So in closing, we're inspired by the progress and plans for greater sustainability and self-sufficiency across our state. In its first year, the Aloha Plus Challenge has already provided a valuable framework to establish joint priorities and action towards a shared destination. It's also great to have this pilot dashboard with easy-to-understand indicators for our solid waste and clean energy targets, and we await the project completion with indicators for all the targets. As legislators, it's very important for us to have this good information as we make tough decisions every year. We look forward to using the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard to track progress on our sustainability goals and assess the impact of our investments. Representative Lee and I, we did meet with Jackie and the members of Hawaii Green Growth before the session to discuss priorities in the Aloha Plus Challenge in the report to the legislature. And as we approach the final month of the 2015 session, I'm pleased to report that many key bills that will help advance the Aloha Plus Challenge targets are moving ahead. And I'm going to let Chris talk about a few in the House, and then I'll mention some in the Senate. Chris?
Thanks very much. This is an incredible step forward, I think, for the state in general. And I'm particularly excited to hear the mayors talking about everything that they're doing at the county levels. And I really want to give a shout out to you guys. I mean, Kauai on the utility side has, for a long time, set an example of local control and local ownership by the people of the power that they use. And to hear Mayor Arakawa talk about that from Maui is really exciting. Are you serious about this? You're serious about this? Local ownership, local control. All right. We know the Big Island's already been working on it, and since Mayor Caldwell gave me the authority to speak for him already tonight, it's something we ought to do here in Oahu too. But there are a couple of bills moving at the legislature on the House side I wanted to mention that Mike and I and many others have been working on together. The first being something which Dr. Lassner mentioned earlier, and UH has been a leader, leading the way in energy reduction, in efficiency, in figuring out how to put together a new model for sustainability generally, but also fiscal sustainability, because they serve a population of students whose bills pay for the energy costs at the university to the tune of $40 million a year. So what we're working on together jointly with the university is a plan to reduce that cost to zero in the long term, so that student tuition can be reduced by that amount, and so that UH will be the first university, to my knowledge, certainly in the nation, possibly in the world, that is truly self-sustainable, generates its own power, is carbon neutral. They're the ones leading the way. And on top of that, we need support, I think, from our colleagues to make sure this happens. But if it happens, it is a model that the rest of the nation can follow, something which will benefit everybody and makes common sense. On top of that, we do have another bill, and we talk about some of these metrics. One of them was our renewable portfolio standards, 70% by 2030. It is one of the most aggressive goals anywhere in the country. We have incredible progress that's being made. I think Jackie mentioned 18%. I think the most recent numbers show we're closer to 21. We are well on track. And what that means is savings for us, over $60 million a year in savings and energy costs, because we're achieving these goals and reducing our imported fossil fuel dependency. But what's really exciting, the bill we're talking about this year is going to move that goalpost and extend that not to 70% by 2030, but to 100%. 100%, we're going to be the first state in the country to reach this goal. It's something that's going to save us billions of dollars as a community, reduce our fossil fuel output and carbon into the atmosphere by billions of tons in the long run. I mean, this is an amazing step forward, and I really want to thank Senator Gabbard and everybody else who's been working together on this. If we can do this year, we are in great shape. So lastly, I just want to mention that all the things that make this possible, that make these goals possible, are built into this dashboard. Without that, we can talk about the stuff we want to do, we can point to it, we can say it feels good, but without the numbers to prove that, we can't sell it. And this gives us, for the first time, the ability to go out there and tell people, this is how important this is, because this is what it means to you. These are the costs that you pay, and this is why we have to take action. Thank you very much.
A couple of Senate bills that I would just like to highlight. SB 1050 is one of my big priorities, which would direct the PUC to establish a community-based renewable program. Obviously, this would be huge for our renters and those who don't have roof space for PV, because it allows people to hooey up and to lease or buy some land and PV panels and get credit for their, that energy on their electricity bills. You know, what's not to like about that? A couple of years ago, I gave a speech at the Mo'iliili area resident managers. They manage all the condos in town, all the stuff. And I spoke about this, and afterwards I talked to one of the managers, and he said, wait a minute, Senator, let me get this straight. I got 400 people that live in my building. Our roof space is about the size of a postage stamp. Do you mean to tell me we could get some land, lease some land or buy some land, let's say in West Oahu, and I'm going, yeah, I'm from West Oahu, and we could put a solar farm out there, and however, if Jack over here buys 100 panels and she buys 10 panels and I take 500, however amount of panels that we buy, that would decrease our monthly electricity. I said, yeah, you got it. And he kind of goes, let me sit down, I'm getting faint here. But that's how excited he was, and this whole concept is, and I'm not putting you on the spot, President Lassner, but UH West Oahu is in my district. And we have discussed this. I was speaking with Chancellor Freitas recently, and he mentioned that the electric bill for UH West Oahu is about $1 million annually. And if those of you that have driven out past that way, you'll remember the little signs that used to be on the Mauka side of H1 that said future home for UH West Oahu. Well, as you'll see, it's on the Makai side. Meanwhile, there's 1,000 acres? 990, sorry. Mauka. How about imagine a 2.5 to 3 megawatt solar farm, right? That would produce enough electricity. Yeah, Pat's going, yeah. That would zero out that $1 million. We'll talk about the wheeling. Yeah. No, but also the wheeling or this community solar program could be another avenue to take advantage of that. Secondly, HB 500, of course, is the state budget bill, and I can assure you that I'm doing everything in my power to make the best possible pitch to our WAM chair, Senator Dakuda, that we need the $6 million appropriation in there to keep our invasive species threats in check. I know that none of us want to see any more little fire ants or coconut rhinoceros beetles that we already have, and other critters and invasive plants that continue to wreak havoc on our island paradise. I also support increasing the spending ceiling for the Natural Area Reserve Fund and Land Conservation Fund to protect our critical watersheds and water supply, as well as funding for our wildfire prevention and control, especially as we adapt to the impacts of climate change. Third, SB 359 is another important bill because we need to redirect the 60 cents of the barrel tax that's currently going to the general fund to where it's supposed to go in the first place, and that was to energy and ag security. And then finally, SB 710, which would direct DOH to update our state integrative solid waste management plan so that we can get a handle on what we need to do in order to reduce what's going into our landfills and increase our recycling efforts. As some of you may know, sustainability and resilience are the overarching themes of the Senate this session, and so we all share a sense of kuleana to reach these targets for future generations. Chris?
Oh, I'm back. You know, I really just wanted to wrap up by saying a couple points, a couple things that I missed earlier. Number one, none of this can happen without the staff that we're talking about and the funding that's in the budgets. And I'm really happy to report this year that we're doing two really important things related to this project. The first is all the work done by Jackie, the State Sustainability Coordinator, is going to continue on because we put in the House budget funding that's going to ensure that her position is permanent from here forward in the state. And on top of that, because more hands the merrier, we're giving her a sidekick who's going to be able to do the data analysis, the research, to expand this project and to ensure its continuity. So that's something that we are so happy about. It means this is going to be a long-lived project that's going to chart the course of hopefully decades to come. You know, we have a real opportunity to be leaders in this state. And I've heard this a number of times, but I want to take that one step further and say we are leaders already here in Hawaii. The rest of the world is looking to us on energy, on climate change, on everything else that we're talking about here today. And it's up to us to follow through and show them the way forward. The legislature, on behalf of myself, the rest of the House, Senator Gabbard, and everyone, I just want to say, you know, we look forward to these continued partnerships with everybody here, with our mayors from the various counties, with the university, with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and everyone else. Together, we're going to be able to reach this collective vision, but the only way we're going to do that is together. So look forward to many more meetings like this and many more exciting announcements in the years to come. Thank you very much.
So in closing, as we move into the the conference section of the legislative session, Rep. Lee and I would like to mahalo again our leaders and all of you for your commitment to making our beloved Hawaii a more sustainable and resilient place. We all must be a part of this culture of sustainability. The first Aloha Plus Challenge legislative report and Hawaii Green Growth helped us identify priorities for the legislature to kickstart action on all 6 Aloha Plus Challenge targets this year. It's critical that we keep our eye on these targets and that we make the right policies and investments to succeed. What's up next? I'm looking forward to working with Hawaii Green Growth to organize the first Aloha Plus Challenge legislative retreat this summer. We'll be reaching out to legislators, state agencies, county and private sector partners, so we all can work together on priorities for policy and funding to advance the Aloha Plus Challenge in 2016. Ideally, we'll develop a high-impact and high-profile Aloha Plus Challenge joint package for 2016 to highlight Hawaii's leadership at the World Conservation Congress in September. And so to close, we'd like to welcome our event host to the stage, Hawaii Green Growth. Audrey, please join me.
Aloha mai kako. That was truly amazing. Every time my challenge, those of you who know me really well, I get really choked up when I'm inspired, and I thought that would happen like later in the mahalos, and it's here right at the very beginning. So I might hand my notes to Brianna or something. Every time I spend time with the leaders of our counties and with the folks who are working on this, I learn more about what's happening. And this afternoon has been no exception. It is so incredibly exciting to hear them talking about, to hear all of you talking about everything from LEDs to ag parks to, our own utility. This is really what's going to move us to the finish line on the Aloha Plus Challenge. And I love what Mayor Arakawa said about things don't happen by accident. And none of this happened by accident. It happened because of amazing work by a lot of people. So now I'll get back on my script. Aloha, everyone. I'm Audrey Newman. I'm the Senior Advisor for Hawaii Green Growth. And it really is my tremendous honor to work with all the leaders who spoke today and with a growing network of public and private sector leaders from across the state working in energy, natural resource management, food, and all the other dimensions of sustainability with a clear commitment to achieving the targets of the Aloha Plus Challenge. The logos that you see up on the slide are just some of the organizations who are part of the working group for the Aloha Plus Challenge. Jackie mentioned that the measures team involves 50 people. Most of those are not working group members. So there's, I think I didn't mention, there are over 60 working group members. We have another 30 or 40 advisors. There's at least a couple of hundred people across the state who are connected to Hawaii Green Growth and the Aloha Plus Challenge to help make all the things you heard about today. I want to really mahalo Senator Gabbard for his, and Representative Lee for their fabulous emceeing this afternoon. I think I'm always going to ask two dynamic men, and two dynamic people to MC. It just worked so well. You guys are really my heroes, and just I don't usually do that, and extraordinary champions for the work that we're all so excited about doing. And I really look forward to working with you, Senator Gabbard, to convene the very first Aloha Plus Challenge legislative retreat later this year. I want to mahalo all the legislators, elected officials, and other key leaders who are here today. I know I was, as we were getting started, people were going, do you have a lay for us? I would have loved to have gotten a lay for everybody in this room, because really everyone here is significantly contributing to the work we're talking about. And that is why you're here. So it's hard to believe that only 8 months ago, we were all in this chamber and inspired to see our leaders come together for the first time to launch the Aloha Plus Challenge. And it's even more inspiring to see them together again today and to hear the incredible array of work that they have in progress. I actually didn't hear it in their comments, but when you talk to them individually, you also get this wonderful spirit of friendly competition as well as cooperation. This is a kako thing, but each of them is really working on getting there as quickly as they possibly can. We're so sorry that Governor Ige couldn't join us, but he is a founding champion for this work, and we know that he really wanted to be here if he possibly could. And the zipper line just trumped us. President Lassner, it's so significant that you joined the other leaders tonight. Your new UH sustainability policy is an outstanding leadership example for our state. At each of our neighbor briefings, it was so clear that UH is really relied on as a respected partner in this work, and that your campuses are uniquely positioned to lead by example, just as you described, both in training for the practical green jobs that we need today, and preparing the next generation of our sustainability leaders. And Dr. Crabb, is he still there? And so we also want to give a special mahalo to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, who is providing the cultural connection for all the work that we're doing, as well as extraordinary leadership on small farming, on native plant landscaping and restoration. We're really proud that in Hawaii, that the leaders of our indigenous community are part of this Aloha Plus Challenge. So my job on behalf of all those logos and many more people is to thank the amazing statewide network of people who work together to create, support, and launch the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard, and to make this evening so special. I have a long list. I'm going to talk really fast, so please hold your applause till the end. And then I'll ask everyone we've thanked to please stand so we can mahalo them. So listen for your name, because you're going to need to stand at the end. So first, a very special mahalo to the 7 outstanding sustainability leads at the state and county level that you met earlier. Keeping and strengthening those positions is one of Hawaii Green Growth's 4 top priorities. There's no better investment that we can all make. So, because together, together, they are the front line for the kind of integrated approach to sustainability that will lead to success across our state. So mahalo to Jackie Kozak-Teal, who's coordinating sustainability for the state, Matt Lynch for the UH system, Kealoha Fox for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, Justin Grunstein for the City and County of Honolulu, Don Mende and his team at the Hawaii County Department of Research and Development, Rob Parsons for Maui County, and Ben Sullivan for Kauai County. You've noticed Jackie and I neither of us listed their titles. Each of these people have different titles, they sit in different parts of government, and they have different mandates. But together, they are the front line of work across sectors and silos to make our islands more sustainable. And their extraordinary collaboration made this dashboard project the huge success that I'm so happy to hear that it is. Jackie and Matt did a great job telling the story of the Aloha Plus Challenge Dashboard. And so when we were talking, they actually called Glenn Sato and Sharon Moriwaki the founding mother and father for the Aloha Plus Challenge measures. So I'm going to start with our enduring thanks to our mother and father. Sharon actually joined Hawaii Green Growth at the very beginning to represent the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, but she brought her experience with Hawaii 2050, and she quickly got us to focus on measures as a top priority. And she also immediately engaged all of the counties from the very start and introduced us to our dad, Glenn Sato, who at that time was Hawaii's only government sustainability coordinator. Glenn instantly understood the power of statewide indicators, and he surprised us first with a grant we didn't ask for. He went and helped us get a Kauai community grant to get the work started. And then he volunteered to host and co-organize the first Neighbor Island meetings. With Diane, Zachary, and the rest of the Kauai team, in so many ways, Glenn and Kauai set the example for success for this project. It is not possible to describe all the things that Jackie, oh, this is going to get me, that Jackie Kozak-Teal did to make this project happen. She is our unstoppable state sustainability coordinator. As Measures co-chair and lead facilitator, she brought her irresistible energy, her broad expertise, outstanding facilitation skills, and her talent for collaboration to the entire process. Mahalo. Mahalo pumihana, Jackie. We're not going to clap to the end, but we're going to clap for Jackie. This dashboard and our statewide measures team is your gift to Hawaii. HGG Assistant Coordinator Brianna, you know why? I'm doing this so they'll never make me do this again. HGG Assistant Coordinator Brianna Rose worked alongside Jackie and did superstar work on every part of this project, from organizing our measures meetings and logistics, coordinating the review and revisions on the dashboard, and planning the event tonight. A truly awesome accomplishment. We're so pleased to welcome Matt Lynch to the team as the new Measures co-chair this year. Mahalo, Matt, for always saying yes, from emceeing our first meeting when we were afraid of the GMO folks to now co-leading this exciting work. A hui of partners funded this startup project. Mahalo nui loa to our county partners who joined Kauai, Maui Office of Economic Development, and the Hawaii Office of Research and Development for joining Kauai and making leadership grants. The next meeting is going to be on Oahu, and the city and county of Honolulu is preparing to join them in a leadership grant soon. We greatly appreciate the generous support of our private funding partners. Thank you so much to the great team at the Ulupono Initiative, to Kioya, Starwood Hotels, and Hawaii Gas, who huied up to co-sponsor a truly memorable meeting at the Sheraton Maui in the Ka'anapali, definitely outside our budget. Hawaii Energy is Hawaii Green Growth's newest supporter and is generously co-sponsoring this meeting, and to the UH Public Policy Center, who gave us funding, as well as Sharon. We are also very grateful to all the partners who gave in-kind support to cover travel, meeting expenses, and other direct costs, and to provide invaluable expertise and staff support. Thanks to you, we leveraged the cash funding for this project more than twofold. Top of our list to thank for sharing their expertise and time are the dashboard leads. These professionals worked with their agencies and other partners to be sure the dashboard data, graphs, and information are reliable. Mahalo nui loa to Rocky Mold and the Hawaii State Energy Office, Aurora Winslade and Hawaii Energy, Lane Otsu, Carolyn Ishida, and Mike Madsen from the Department of Health, and the county agency contacts who compiled a blizzard of data, including some that came out of filing cabinets, to give us a good picture for the first time of our solid waste reduction. Thank you so much to Tamara Farnsworth for Maui, Linda Peters for Hawaii County, Allison Fraley and John Harder for Kauai, and Pat Gagan, even though he's not on the county team, government, Michael Keefe for the city and county of Honolulu. Two very special people brought their invaluable talents and lots of time to make the dashboard shine. Our heartfelt thanks to Karen Higa at the Office of Information Management and Technology for her masterful work on the website platform, and Sheila Sarhengi for her extraordinary communication skills. Sheila distilled pages of technical information from our from the expert team into something we all really want to know and can understand. So thanks to them, the dashboard is clear, brief, highly informative, and beautiful. So check it out. One thing that Jackie didn't show you is for all of the graphs, the summary graphs that you look at, if you want to go deeper, if you're really a data nerd, you can click down. I hope you picked up the Aloha Challenge brochure when you came in. This is another great milestone, and inside is the list of the top 5 legislative priorities that were identified by a broad cross-sector of our working group team, and then the 1 to 2 for each of the single targets. And mahalo nui to all the legislators and the administration. Thanks to them, almost all of these are moving forward. The top priority for Hawaii Green Growth that we think will make the biggest difference on the Aloha Plus Challenge is the statewide sustainability coordinator. And thank you, Representative Lee, for adding the data analyst. We didn't think of it, but will make a huge difference. And support to OIMT to help with the dashboard. Special thanks to Mark Fox from the Nature Conservancy and the members of the Hawaii Green Growth Legislative Team that he chairs, who actually pulled this list together, and we look forward to working with Senator Gabbard and others to create an even more forward-looking list of priorities for next year that we can share with the world at the World Conservation Congress. And finally, this event was beautifully organized by a small dream team of Capitol staff and Hawaii Green Growth members. Once again, this dream team was led by 2 awesome women, Jackie Kozak-Teal and Brianna Rose. A special warm mahalo to all our great government partners who helped behind the scenes, especially Rock Riggs from Senator Gabbard's office, Jennifer Wilbur from Representative Lee's office, our dear friends Karen Higa and Keith DeMello at the Office of Information Management and Technology, and Deidre Tegarden, a great partner in the governor's office who tried to the very last minute to get him here today. HGG is actually just 2 staff people, Brianna Rose and me. And so none of this would happen without the incredible and invaluable help of our wonderful Hawaii Green Growth team of volunteers. Mahalo Ulalia for the beautiful ole that started us off. Pia Arma, the president of Pineapple Tweed, for your expert guidance on all communications for Hawaii Green Growth and the Aloha Plus Challenge, and for serving as our volunteer Hawaii Green Growth Communications Chair. Special thanks to Stephanie Chang, Design Inc., for her striking design work on the brochure and all the beautiful visuals that we see around us. Mahalo again to Sheila, Strategic Communications Specialist, who worked graciously with everyone under incredibly tight deadlines to complete the dashboard, the materials, and the media support. And a quick mahalo to our 2 sweet Hawaii Green Growth interns, Laura Applegate and Laurel Picunas from Hawaii Pacific University and the University of Hawaii. And an extra special shout out to Kevin Vaccarello and the Sweet Home Waimanalo team for providing the Ono food and non-alcoholic beverages that you will all be enjoying very soon. So now, for the finale, would everyone who helped create, review, or support the Aloha Plus Challenge Measures and Dashboard project please stand up? Please stay on your feet. Please stay standing. Would everyone who helped create and support the Hawaii Green Growth legislative priorities to move the needle on these targets in the right direction, please join them in standing. All the wonderful people who helped with this event, please stand. And last, all of our Hawaii Green Growth Working Group members, advisors, and funders, please stand and stay standing. Mahalo to all of you for all the amazing work you've accomplished together this year. Mahalo nui. I think I'm the last word, and we can all go eat.